hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits. Good evening, viewers. You're welcome to Woman Without Limits. I'm Reverend Kiuna. It's always a delight to have you tuned in. And tonight, we have an amazing guest. This man has come from such a mighty long way. I knew him many, many years ago. He was very, very young, but you will be inspired by his story because he's come a mighty, mighty long way to be where he is today. And you know what? It doesn't matter where you start. I always say that. How you finish is what matters the most. And so you need to know that you can become anything, anything in this life as long as you believe and you know that all things are possible to those who believe. God will make it possible if you just believe. Would you please welcome with me Nelson Mudanyi on set? Hi, Nelson. How are you? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. How are you?
You're good?
Very good.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Nelson. See, we've come from far.
Too far.
And now here you are. You're no longer a teenager. that teenage boy
Yes.
that we knew many years ago.
Correct.
When you gave me the story,
Yes.
it was so inspiring that I knew somebody must be blessed by your story.
Correct.
So you might want to start by letting us know, who is Nelson Mudanyi? Where are you from? Where did you grow up?
Well, my name is Nelson Mudanyi. I grew up in Eldoret many years ago. My father used to work in a golf club called Eldoret Golf Club, and we used to live in the golf staff quarters. So in the moments that we lived there, I got an opportunity to start playing golf in the staff quarters with our own homemade clubs.
You would homemade clubs?
Yes.
Show us, please. It's right here. Could you pick it? And show us the homemade.
So this is a homemade club.
Yes.
So what would happen those days? Golf clubs are very expensive, but and our parents could not afford membership to pay for us to the club.
Right.
So what we did was we used to go and cut these wooden trees from a branch and create a golf club, which then we used this maize cob. Back in the days, we used to call it msogoro.
Oh, ni msogoro. Nilikuwa naita osogoro. Yes, msogoro.
Yes. So this would be the golf ball. So what would happen is that we would go and take something called the greenkeeper's rubbish, which is a grass cut from the green.
Right.
And we'd use that to put maybe in a 1 meter radius. We make a small hole, if I have to say, and use the plastic kimbo. You remember the kimbo cooking oil?
Yeah.
So we put that in the middle of
the
the
tin.
hole. The
so
tin.
you put a kimbo tin.
Yes. Then the grass on the side. So that will become our green. Now,
where you would now pat the ball into? The msogoro?
Not only pat, but we used to hit full shots. We'd create actually driving shots from this. And it would create some sound that sounds very real. So from there is when now we were a group of about 10 boys who were about the same age. And we used to make it so fun because I remember back in those days we used to play for patkos, biscuits, those two small round ones.
Patco was sweet. You know the white Patco, eh? You know Patco? Very sweet.
So
You would compete for that.
correct.
So now show us how you would hold this club. I mean, this is a whole stick. How would you hold it?
Now, so with this, we basically keep it down like that, and then we'd make a swing from it. Yeah. So by making the swing, the hole used to be about 70, 80 yards, or rather 70 meters, and we'd create par 3s, par 4s, and 5s from that. So by doing that, we were able to now pick up passion. And I remember there were days when we used to sneak to go to the golf course late in the evenings around 6:30
Yeah.
to go and play some golf. But then we were very careful not to be found by the caddy master, because we were not allowed to go to the golf course, the main golf course. So we'd go hide behind one of the holes. I think back then was the third hole in Eldoret Golf Club, which was behind one of the rivers, River Sosiani. So that's how we started playing. Then slowly we...
Now you can sit and tell us the story. You can just hold your golf stick. By the way, golf clubs are very expensive. So it was impossible for you to own one.
It was impossible.
Yeah. And you were a little boy. How old were you then?
I was only 6 at the time.
6 years old. Tell me about a man's passion and dreams. Eh? So you would follow your father now to the golf course.
Correct.
And you would now do this with the little boys.
Yes.
Whoever won
Yes.
would get a patco.
A patco.
Uh-huh.
Now, so slowly one day in the year 1999, we were now put into a junior competition. So it didn't matter whether you're from the staff or from the members' side. We were put in one tournament, and they said whoever will finish in the top 2 will get an opportunity to travel to Nairobi. So little did I know that this small passion would actually translate to now getting the real clubs and those real golf balls.
What? So
Correct.
you won. In other words,
Yes.
the competition of you were number what?
I was number 1.
So as number 1,
Yes.
they now brought you to Nairobi.
Now I got an opportunity to come to Nairobi
Right.
to play boys and girls championship, which it's still at Muthaiga today. They play every year in August. So I got that opportunity to come here and compete in that junior. It's called the Boys and Girls Championship.
Right.
So then I didn't have any clubs, of course. I happened to have met one of the top amateurs then, in the year 2000, from Nairobi, who gave me an opportunity to come to Nairobi. And how did we meet? I remember one of the evenings, Friday evenings, as I was actually swinging with this club, making a swing on one of the tees in Eldoret, one of the holes. He was in the hotel room and he saw me. So he came out.
Hey, hey, what are you talking about? Did you hear that? Talk about our God. He's too much.
Correct.
He's too much. What do they say in Nigeria? They say, I was told this by Okuposo. When God has blessed you badly,
Yes.
you say,
Yes.
God overdo. Clap for yourself. They said, God overdo. So
Correct.
guess what? So he overdo like that.
Yes.
Somebody was watching from his hotel window.
Yes.
And so you play.
In fact, I wasn't even playing. I was just making a swing. You know how golfers like to do to make sure that they're doing the right thing.
Right.
So I was just doing like this on the tee box. So he came out of his hotel room on hole number 7 in Eldoret, and he asked, kijana, unajua kucheza golf? Nikasema ndio, but naweza jaribu, siko vizuri sana. So he came out with his golf set. He asked me, fimbo gani unapiganga hapa? Nikasema 5 wood. It was a short par 3, 135 yards.
You
So,
said 5 wood.
5 wood.
Sasa 5 wood at your size, utaweza?
Now back in those days, those balls used to play would roll so much. So I think I'd landed it maybe 110 yards.
Right.
And it rolled over the bunker next to the pin. So because we were playing a small competition against us too, I won the first time and the second time. So he said,
You won this grown up
yes,
who was now,
he was a top amateur in the country then. Yes.
and you beat him
I beat
with
him.
your sogoro and this.
Now I used
Like this is what you used to practice. So
Yes.
you are just holding woods now. What
Correct.
he's giving.
Now it was
It's
coming
like
to
David
reality.
fighting with Goliath's armor.
Yes. So this actually manifested to now the proper clubs, because he gave me a 5-wood and a ball, a real ball, which I never expected. So he asked me whether I could caddy for him over the weekend. I said, itakuwa shida, but I will speak with the caddy master. So of course the caddy master refused because I was still too young to be on the golf bag.
Can you hear you people? Meanwhile, how old are you this time?
That time I was 12.
So 12, they said, Kijana, you cannot carry for
Yes,
anyone.
You cannot.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, now the caddy master has denied me an opportunity, one, to make some pocket money so that I can use it for lunch at school. Okay, so over the weekend I decided, you know what, I will follow him and watch him how he plays over the weekend. So I did. He finished second in that tournament. After he finished second, he stayed an extra day so that he could play with me.
Right.
He decided to pay the green
Wow.
fees to play with me.
He just stayed for your sake.
Correct.
Leave God alone.
Absolutely.
He's too much.
Correct. So on Monday, I played with him, and I was very nervous, of course, because I've never used a whole golf set, which he allowed me to use his golf set, though they were very heavy for me. But my focus was to hit the golf ball.
Right.
I didn't care how heavy they were.
Right.
Okay, so I played. We played together, and I shot, I think, about 125 gross in 18 holes, and he was very impressed because I'd never been on the golf course before to play 18 holes. So that's when he decided, Nelson, when you
Wow.
get an opportunity, I'd like to talk to your mom. You come to Nairobi and participate in the junior competitions.
Mm-hmm.
So I told him, I think my mom will be fine, because at the time our dad was away from us for some years. And I remember one of the members offered to give me 1,500 shillings at the time to come and use it in Nairobi.
Right.
So I met the person. He gave me the 1,500 shillings. I came to Nairobi. Then bus fare was 250 shillings via Eldoret Express. So got into the Eldoret Express. I remember I slept on a mattress next to the driver. There used to be where the long engine is.
Yeah.
So we got to Nairobi, and I came with one of my friends who came second. So went to Muthaiga, and how did I get to Muthaiga? First thing I did was, I was told, when you get to Nairobi, go to a place called Afya Center. I didn't know what Afya Center was, but
It's your first time now. You've
Yes.
never been to Nairobi.
I've never been
You're
to
just
Nairobi.
coming to this big city for the first time.
Correct.
Right.
So I remember
Wow.
I had packed 4 pairs of trousers, 3 pairs of shirts, and
All your belongings.
all my belongings. Correct. So I went to Muthaiga with my friend. It was on a Monday. So Monday I did some practice round with borrowed clubs from Muthaiga because I didn't have a golf set.
Right.
I just came by faith, hoping that that person will provide for me a golf kit. So I went to Muthaiga, I played practice round 9 holes. Then the following day, on Tuesdays when the tournament started, I played 18 holes for the second time now. First time in Nairobi and second time in my life.
Right.
So I played 54 Stableford points for the very first time.
You people don't want to know what that is. All I can say is it's great. Like, whoa. Wow.
Yes,
54.
54 points.
Hey. Eh.
So I remember one of the tournament administrators, she called me and said, "You're disqualified. You've played in the wrong age category. You're supposed to play in the 9-hole category, under 13 years and under.
Yeah.
You're disqualified. You come tomorrow and you'll play 9 holes." So the person that I'd come to see in Nairobi was not there that day.
The
So-
one who gave you, the one who told you to come to
Yes.
Nairobi.
Yeah.
And do you know anyone?
That time it was only me and my friend. Helpless.
What?
So that evening, my friend was picked up by his aunt, and I think the aunt lived in Donholm. So I was left at the club alone. And it was during August when it pours crazy. So I didn't have a choice to go anywhere but to stay with the watchman at the gate of Muthaiga Golf Club.
Hey,
Yes,
at the watchman's place.
correct.
Yeah.
A small hut.
Yeah.
Right next by the gate, next to the main road.
So you just went, and what did you tell the watchman now?
So I told the watchman, there was somebody who was supposed to come and pick me up.
He
But
never came.
those days there were no phones. So I
And
sat-
even if there were, you didn't have.
I didn't have. So I sat in that small hut, the guard's place.
Right.
Little did I know that there was somebody coming. There was somebody by the name of John Gitonga, who was then a caddy at Muthaiga Golf Club. So as he was going home at around 6:30, and it was raining crazily, he asked the watchman, "Huyu kijana anafanya nini hapa? He's not supposed
Like,
to be
what's
here."
that boy doing there?
Yes. So the watchman said he is waiting for someone to come and pick him up. Anyway, so John waited for about an hour to see whether that person was going to come.
He waited.
Yes,
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
correct.
A stranger
A stranger.
who's just seen a little boy.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So he waited, the guy never showed up. So he decided, twende kwangu nyumbani. Those days he used to live in Mwiki. And for me, I don't even know what Mwiki is. I didn't know what Nairobi is all about, except the Nairobi Afya Center building.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So he took me to his house. He hosted me for the night. I got rained on. We both got rained on. I remember I had now about 900 shillings with me, and that 900 shillings was in my right hand pocket. So we got into this Kenya bus, back in those days of Kenya bus,
Yeah.
at Muthaiga bus stop, next to the police station. And that bus was too crowded. Everybody was trying to find somewhere to hold or to hang. So I remember first thing that came to my mind was that 900 shillings you have between you and poverty, keep it in your socks. So I took out that money, I put
So
it.
at 12 years, you are still thinking like a grown-up.
Hey, no. Otherwise I'd be walking back to Eldoret.
Right.
So I took the money, I put it in my socks. Now, I just held on to the rail in the bus. So I think he paid about maybe, bus fare then was probably 10 or 15 shillings. So
Yeah.
he paid to Mwiki, and the road to Mwiki then was very horrible.
Mm.
So this bus was swerving all over the road. And I was like, okay, now welcome to Nairobi.
Yes.
So we got to his house, he hosted me. I remember everything that I had, my little plastic bag that I'd carried my clothes in was also wet. So he decided to give me one of his t-shirts. I remember that evening I wore a t-shirt that was that
Was a
it
maxi.
was an apron. It was basically an apron. that
Right.
Yeah. So I put on that
Oh,
t-shirt and
yeah.
I slept on it because it was long enough
To cover.
me.
Yeah.
So, he hosted me and he gave me dinner. I slept on the sofa, and I was just thinking throughout the night. So what's going to happen tomorrow? Because this guy who promised me to come to Nairobi, he never showed up. So the following day, John took one of his shoes and decided to give me, because the ones that I had were already wet and I didn't have an extra pair. So his shoes were so huge. I remember I had to put in some gazettes in the shoes so that they could fit me properly.
Yeah.
So following day, he took me back to the club, and we got there. That's when now this person who had promised to show up the previous day, he showed up.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
he finally showed up.
He
Okay.
finally showed up.
Okay.
So he showed up. He's from Asian community, and he brought his own kit that he used to use when he was a junior golfer. So I got a caddy from Muthaiga, and I registered for the under 13s to play 9 holes. So we went on to the course. Now on the first hole, I was very nervous because he was watching me, and I had this caddy. So I remember on the second shot, the caddy gave me a wrong club, and he fired him on the spot. He told him to go back to the clubhouse and wait there. He'll be giving his caddy fees. He was caddying my bag.
What?
So I was even more nervous now.
Because now the Asian himself carried your bag.
Yes.
Okay.
So he expects results.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, played the first hole, second hole, third hole. I got comfortable. By the time we were finishing 9 holes, I remember hole number 2 and hole number 9 currently, I could never cross the water. So the tee boxes for the juniors, our category then was next to the green, the new green by by hole number 2.
Right.
So I played in the 9 holes. I played 32 points.
Wow.
I won by a margin of 4.
9 holes.
Yes.
You will understand that one day.
In 1997, our dad left us with my brother and my mom. So for about 4 years, we didn't know where he was because he had lost his job, and it wasn't very easy for us. And my mom was actually just struggling to make ends meet, which was very difficult. So that's the time now I decided, instead of going and doing other wrong things that normal kids in the streets do, let me go and start becoming a ball boy in a tennis court in Elroyd Golf Club. So it is there when now all this came through, and by the time I was now playing in Kiambu Golf Club and won the Kiambu Junior Open, the same Asian person decided to host me in his house in Naivasha for a year.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Come on.
So coming from almost underprivileged background to living with an Asian family,
in a beautiful house.
it was a problem.
A culture shock.
Completely. So I did not really understand their ways of living until maybe after 4 or 5 months is when I started adapting, because adapting was a problem. You have to be in the house at a certain time.
Eating their food.
Eating their food, and
You are used to ugali. Ati ugali ndio chakula.
Yes.
The rest.
So actually that's where I learned a lot of Indian food.
Yeah.
Roti and all this spicy food.
Now are you getting full? Be honest.
Then it was a matter of survival, and I could not tell him that I'm not full.
You have to just be okay.
No, you just
because I know you
you take the little you get and appreciate it. So it is then he decided to take me to a school in Naivasha. So he took me to one of the primary schools, which is about 10 kilometers away. So the first shopping he did was to get me clothes, because what I had were examples of clothes.
Right.
Yeah, so he brought a whole suitcase of clothes.
Wow.
And
may God bless him. God bless him. Oh, yeah.
yeah, he also bought me a mountain bike. Yes.
Wow. Like, whoa. Wow.
Yes, he bought me a mountain bike. He paid my school fees for that time that I was there.
Yeah.
So I remember first time in school after 4 years. In that time, I was supposed to go to class 8, but then because I was out of school for 4 years, I had to go back to class 4. Yes.
Wow.
So I remember first time after the exams, I got the results. I had about 234 marks out of the 500.
Right.
And of course, it was not pleasing, but he understood why I got that, because I'd been out of school for so long.
For 4 years.
For 4 years.
Yeah.
So getting back to school, it was a big challenge for me. But I was very happy that I got that courage to go back. I was sitting down with kids who are 4 or 5 years younger than me
Yeah.
in the class.
Yeah.
So I kept telling myself, or speaking to myself, that you know what, it's not about your age, it's about getting a little bit of education.
Yeah.
And I remember back then my target was just finish class 8 and Form 4, and whatever happens after Form 4, at least you have your basic education.
Right.
So first time I got 234, second time I got 260, so I improved a bit.
You improved a bit, yeah.
Yes. Now in the third term, now going to the second term, there's pressure coming now from him and his family that I have to start getting my 300 and above out of the 500. So when I got the 260, he did not really appreciate it because he wanted me to get over 300 marks. All right, so
Your third term now.
third term now, I go back to school, and we get to the final term of the year.
Yeah.
I scored 292 marks.
292.
Yes.
So you are 8 short.
Yes, I was 8
Okay.
short.
Because he had said 300.
300 and above. Now
Eh.
I received the report card,
Mm.
and here I have 292 marks. So I'm wondering, what am I going to do here? So as a child, I decided, you know what,
You
this
thought like a child.
yes,
Uh-huh.
this 292 marks, I'm going to change the 2 to 3.
Because why can it not turn to 3 now? Is it not possible to put just like this
Yes.
and make it 3?
So I turned the 2 to 3, but I did change on this other side. So
Are you hearing? He didn't change the 46 to 96
No.
to
Yes.
make it at least 392. He just changed the scores,
yes,
but all the additions still worked at 292.
292.
Mm.
So I gave the report card to him, and he looked at it. So first thing he looked at was the total marks, 392. But he didn't look impressed, because I think he must have seen the 46s and the 52 and the and said,
And wondered how.
there's something wrong here.
Right.
So he took out his phone. Then I think he had one of those Nokia from back in the days, and he did the calculation. So the calculation was 292, but total was 392. I was fired on the spot.
Yo, are you here? Eh,
He told me, this is very serious.
Eh.
You're going back to your mom.
that is a door.
Yes,
Mm.
you're going back to
Use
your mom.
it. Mm.
Pack your stuff and leave the bike here. So I said, I'm really sorry. I did that because I wanted to impress you, and I was really feeling a lot of pressure when I was doing the exams, and I promised that in the coming terms I will improve. So he said, no, you're going back to Eldoret.
I said, go and improve in Eldoret.
Yes. So I packed all my stuff. Of course, I was very disappointed also at myself, and he took me to Naivasha bus stop. So at the bus stop, he gave me 500 shillings to pay for the bus.
Mm.
Then to Eldoret was about 150 shillings. So I remember I had some contacts from my auntie who lived in Thika then and still is. So I decided, instead of going to Eldoret, going back to Trabo, let me call my auntie and ask her if I could come to Thika, because she lived in Thika from those days. So I called her, I ringed her up, I went and looked for change, and I found those 5 shillings coins, which we used to use back then, and put in the call box. I dialed the numbers. She said, come, I will host you. When you get to Nairobi, ask for 237 at the country bus. So the moment that friend of mine left from the bus stop, I changed the route to Nairobi.
Right.
I changed the route to Nairobi.
You're also a clever kid. Yeah.
So I paid 90 shillings, I remember, to Nairobi bus. Kenya bus used to be 90 shillings then.
Mm.
Got to Nairobi. I asked around what for these numbers. That was the second time I heard about this number things to different places. So I asked for 237. I was told 237 is right there. So I went there. I paid 40 shillings to Thika. I got to Thika. My aunt had given me the, instructions and directions where to find her. So I go to Thika town. I go to a call box again. I call her, I tell her I'm here. She comes.
Wow.
Yes. So now I haven't told my mom that
You are
Naivasha is
you're
no
with your
more.
aunt. Yeah. Yeah.
Naivasha is no more.
Yeah.
And I haven't told anybody except my aunt. So when she picks me up, then I give the story to her and I tell her what happened. So then is when she tells me, by the way, your father is here in Thika. I didn't know.
Whoa.
Yes.
Talk about the steps of a righteous man. They are ordered of God.
So
You didn't know your father was there.
no, I didn't know my
So
father.
did you find him eventually?
Eventually, I found him.
Yeah.
She took me to him.
What?
Yes.
Was he alone?
Yes, he was alone.
Wow.
Yes.
Was he happy to see you?
He was very happy. He used to work for Broadway's Bakery
Mm.
in Thika, so he'd work with those people. So he took me, and I remember 3 weeks later, he decided. I'd put a lot of pressure to him to take me to Thika Sports Club. So one of the days on the weekends, he decided to take me to Thika Sports Club. Now, on our way there, as we enter Thika Sports Club, one of the halls is next to the gate, main entrance. So
Wow.
as we enter the gate, I see this friend who I'd seen in Eldoret. And he says, "Oye kijana, I think nakujua." I said, "Yes, I think you're Sam Kamau." So he says, "Yes, I'm Sam Kamau." So he introduces me to the captain. He was playing with the captain at that time. So he tells the captain then, Mr. Washirungu, "Captain, huyu kijana anatoka Eldoret." So captain said, "This small boy, ebu piga swing." So I said, "Okay." It's been long. I don't know if I'll still be able to remember, but I will try. So he gives me his driver and a ball and a tee. I hit a very good drive, apparently. So he says, "Go and wait for me in the clubhouse. Tell the manager to give you anything on my account. I'll come and sort it out later."
Whoa. Wow.
Yes.
Yani, you were seeing the walk, eh? You're seeing the walk. Have you seen every one of them? Every step is intertwined. You can see. Hi, this God. Eh?
Correct. So I waited for the captain. He finished. My friend then Sam Kamau introduced me to the captain, and captain was actually, he welcomed me very nicely.
Yeah.
And he said, "Before we make you a member, first you're going to become a guest. You'll be playing as a guest in Thika, because we'll need to see how you're doing. Then the board will decide what to do with you." So I remember I asked a few weeks later, I asked my friend if my dad could get a job there, because he was a chef, so he could work for them. But then he said, "No, we'll not give him that work, but we'll give you an opportunity to be playing here." Yes. So after 3 months, I was given honorary junior membership at Thika Sports Club.
Wow.
Now, by the time I was going to Thika, I was a handicap 10 from Naivasha. Remember, in Naivasha, I'd gone when I was a handicap 21.
You dropped.
I dropped
You are now 10.
10.
Uh-huh.
So
Hey. Starting from here.
starting from here,
Hey.
that was in 2002.
Right.
Correct. So after 6 months, I was now put in the team to be playing for Thika in the league matches, in the junior championships, in the GOTY Golf of the Year events for the KGU. And the club, the captain, through the former chairperson, gave me full support of the club. So they used to pay for my caddy fees and entry fees and transport. So I started competing now within Nairobi
Right.
and Thika, and my game grew very fast. I remember now I had to go to class 5 now in Thika, because remember I'd only done one year in Naivasha
year, class
before
4.
I was fired.
When you got 392.
When I got 3
Yes.
when I got 392. So
Yeah.
I was given that opportunity. They started providing for my golfing activities, and I cut my handicap. Within 1 year, I got my handicap from 10 to 3.
Hey. That's where you clap if you know what 3 is. Let me just make it clear. To drop a handicap, 1, you have to really be good. To just come down. Amen. Say amen by faith. One day. Yes.
So I cut my handicap down to 3. Then I started interacting with people. They were asking, who is this Mudanyi? Who is this Mudanyi? And I remember some, now he's a pro, then he was an amateur. He said, this boy is from Eldoret. Ajay took him to Naivasha for some time. Then he moved here to Thika. So he's now based here and he goes to school here around.
Right.
So when I cut my handicap down now, in 2003, I started now competing nationally for those events. Now, a year later, in 2004, I cut my handicap down to 1. So then is when I was selected to play for the national team in the Junior British Open in Scotland in 2004.
Wow. From the Watchman's Gate, eh? You're remembering the rain. Okay. Please don't forget the rain. Okay. And don't forget the T-shirt. Okay.
So
and don't forget the shoes. Papers inside.
So I went to the UK. For the very first time, I stepped onto a plane.
Now, when you went onto the plane, please, what was the behavior like?
Now, here, plane, it was a big surprise because I remember back in Eldoret, I used to see this plane flying early in the morning and leave the cloud, the smoke behind. So I'd say, you know, God, I just pray that one day I'll be up there. So when I got to the airport, of course, this is a new place I've never been to. I had somebody who was assisting me with the travels and everything from the Junior Golf Foundation, Mr. Gikonyo, and he took me through the security, the check-in, and all that. Now, coming onto the plane is where troubles began. Because as I'm on the plane, I'm wondering, how is this thing going to go up there?
Yeah.
So I remember we got onto this British Airways. So on the runway, just before now it starts taking off, I start now making prayers because I don't know whether I'll ever come down again. Yes.
Wow.
So I start to pray, I start to have pressure. Now, when the plane starts to run, I'm shivering and wondering what's going to happen.
Right.
Because that kind of a speed, I've never felt it before in my life.
You're actually completely scared.
Yeah, I'm very scared and frightened. At the same time, I'm very excited that I'm on a plane, but very scared that this thing, how is it going to fly up there? So we get onto that runway, it takes off at this crazy speed. I was holding my heart the entire time.
Right.
Especially when it started now making the corners and, you know, the turns. I remember every time it used to come on my side this way, I'd be like, now here I'm gone.
It's over.
Yeah, it's over. So
you went, you got there. How did you play?
I finished 4th in Africa and 38th
4th in Africa. Hey! Give it up for Nelson. What is it?
Yes.
Eh?
I finished 4th in Africa. That was in 2004. So I remember before I qualified to go and play for the country, there was also another junior player who was a handicap better than me, one stroke better than me.
Right.
He was 0 and I was 1. But because of, you know, the discipline and the character, they decided to choose me over him, even though he was a better handicap than I was.
Wow. Because of the character, you kept yourself well. You never did the things that...
No. I kept myself very
What
disciplined.
made you not go into drinking and drugs and all? Because that's what most people would do at your age, at that time.
At that time, I knew that one day the heavens would open up for me. And
Hey. Amen. Whoa.
That was not the lifestyle that was meant for me. Despite of all the challenges that we had to go through as a family. So when I came back from the UK, I started now getting sponsors everywhere. Some paid for my school fees, the entire school fees. Some paid also for my younger brother school fees. I remember this very well. One of the sponsors, a very close friend, said, I asked him again, would you mind giving my dad a job? He said, no, I'll not give your dad a job, but we'll educate you.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So
they took you to school?
They took me to school.
Up to Form 4 now?
I remember class 8 I finished when I was 17 years old.
It's just okay to clap. He finished class 8 at 17. It's fine. There was a 72. Was it 72? The one who went to standard 1. So it's fine.
So,
wow.
Finished primary school when I was 17 years old. Got into high school when I was 18. Finished by the time I was 21. That's when I was finishing high school.
Yeah.
I remember 1 year when I was in Form 3, I was sitting with this 16-year-old boy, classmate, who actually mocked me because of my age. And I said to him, you know what, I have a vision in life. My focus right now is to finish high school. Whatever will happen after this, God knows. So anyway, I finished high school, and I remember when we were filling the forms for jobs to go to colleges, to universities, I never filled any, because in my heart I wanted to do golf. And so I never filled any of those forms. So after I finished high school, I took a 1-year break to play now full-time amateur golf. And that's when now I finished 3rd in the country in the senior amateurs, while yet before, when I was in the junior ranks, I was junior player for 3 years in a row, top junior player 3 years in a row in the country.
Wow.
Yes.
For 3 years in a row?
Yes, for 3 years in a row.
Number one.
Correct.
In the country?
In the country.
Okay.
So I finished 3rd in the country. I got an opportunity to play now in the Kenya Open, which is now Kenya's most prestigious golf event, but I qualified through the amateur series. So I played that. I remember even before I participated in that Kenya Open, I got one of my sponsors who then decided to get me a school so that I could go study something. And just to take you back a bit, I remember back in 2005 when I was now playing in Thika, I moved to Muthaiga Golf Club to go and play there as a junior golfer. So I went there to play as a junior golfer. Then I remember one time there's one of my colleagues now, who was then also an amateur, introduced me to my spiritual dad, Bishop Alan Kiuna.
That's a very good man. Who is that who introduced you? What's his name again? We need to, Ati, what's his name? The one who introduced you?
Kopan Timbe.
Oh, Kopan.
Yes.
He's the one that introduced you to Bishop.
Yes.
And then you met your own mom.
And then later I met my own mom. So from that day, in 2005, up to present day, Dad never let me down. He took me by his hands.
And he kept, he came home and he told me, I met this boy.
Yes.
What I love about him is that he's so young, but too responsible. I mean, he behaves like a grown-up. I can't even deal. So he was so impressed. Bishop was so impressed by Nelson. So he told me about you even before I met you. Oh, that's why when I met you, you just became my son.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I remember back in high school, take you back a bit, there was when church used to be in Ngara, JCC. I came to the office and you gave me a check to go to school, which...
I did?
Yes, you did.
Wow.
Yes, he gave me a check to go to school, so I went and I banked it with Chase Bank, and it was paid to the school.
Wow.
So from that time up to today, I've seen a lot of transformation in my life, and for me, there is this perception in golf that the game is for the rich and not the poor, but I don't believe that, because coming from this
Musogoro.
Msogoro,
Musogoro.
yes,
With a stick.
yes, with
To now, okay. Tell us, Mudanyi, because I want you now to get to where we are right now.
Yes.
Right now, tell us about all these, what are all these
Now,
these things?
In 2010, I got an opportunity to go and study in the US for golf complex and hotel management degree, which I stayed there for about 2 years in Orlando, Florida. And while I was there, I was able to actually meet with my all-time favorite golfer, Tiger Woods, and I was given an opportunity.
You just leave God alone. Aye, he deserves, I don't even know.
Yes.
What can you say about God? He's too much. What?
And in fact,
He's God Almighty.
he actually gave me this golf ball,
Tiger Woods?
which has his name on.
What? With his name Tiger. Hey, totally, yeah. You're saying that's a CV. Uh-huh.
And then also, there's other players called Bubba Watson. Yeah,
You met him?
correct. This is also his autograph on the ball.
Baba Watson. Oh my goodness, he's a mighty player. Yeah.
And also, this was from Tim Clark, one of the top South African golfers. Yes.
And they all signed?
Correct.
Yeah.
All signed. And now this one was from my first hole-in-one in South Africa. When I moved to South Africa, I came back and moved to South Africa for 3 years, where I was staying with your very close family.
Yes, our friends. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Correct. And then these are just some of the trophies that I won and received. And so far, I probably have about 80 of these, but some at my auntie's.
80
trophies, yes.
80 trophies. Remember there? Remember there? Remember there? In what? In a watchman's house. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Correct. So,
So about 80 trophies.
Yes.
From different parts of the world.
Different parts of the world.
Met the Tigers and the who is who
In fact,
in golf.
I worked for Tiger for 2 weeks in a row, back to back, as a scorekeeper. You know, yes. Yeah.
Ati what? Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So while I was there, this is the school I went to, by the way.
In the States?
Yes.
Wow.
In the States.
Yeah.
This is the class that I graduated.
Wow. Wow.
Yes.
That's amazing.
And then in the team, in the school, we had a team, which I was part of the team, so we won that in 2011.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Semester Challenge champions. Awesome. Ooh. That's amazing, Mudanyi. That's amazing.
Thank you. Now, so I moved to South Africa for 3 years.
Yeah.
Where I was playing on the Sunshine Tour.
And all of it paid for?
All of it paid for. 0 shillings from my pocket and from my parents. So in South Africa, I moved there for 3 years, stayed there playing on the Sunshine Tour. Professional golf is not as easy as it looks on the TV, because what you see on TV is end product of hard work.
Yeah.
So I really put in a lot of hard work, but sometimes it takes time to actually get to the top.
So now, first and foremost, where are you?
So as we speak right now, I'm the resident professional at Mudanyi Golf Club, which is
The resident professional at Mudanyi Golf Club. This is where he was rained on. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The same place he was rained on, the same place he stayed with a watchman because he couldn't even know where he was going. The same place where he came back looking so bad because he had big t-shirt and big shoes. That same place, he's now the pro there, respected and honored by every player there. He's the pro there. What? Hey, leave God alone. He is God.
correct, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes. So those are just some of the highlights of the tournaments I won and everything.
Are you seeing here Mudanyi? Eh? When his father saw him in the newspaper, say.
Now, when my father saw me in newspaper, he actually felt very embarrassed because he had neglected us for about 4 years. And, you know, as a son, he's still my father, and forever he will be. I forgave him for what he had done to us because, as I look today, my brother also won the Golf of the Year championship last year. He was #1 in the country.
At #1.
So
He's on his way to?
he's on his way to Qatar next week to play World Amateur Championships. So God has been very good to us, despite some
Your mom is just rejoicing and eating ingoho. Now she eats ingoho when she wants.
anytime she wants.
You just drive there and tell her mom,
Yes,
how many ingohos do you want?
correct. So I remember since 2005 when I met Dad Bishop, it's the first time I ever stepped into JCC and Gara, and ever since I've been with JCC up to date.
Right.
And I look at my life back from those days to where I am today, and all I say is thank you to God, because he has been there for me throughout
Amen.
my entire life.
Amen.
And I would like to encourage parents out there to introduce their kids into the golfing circles.
Because that could be their talent.
Correct.
Mhm.
There is an organization called Junior Golf Foundation of Kenya, which any parent, whether you're from Runda, Karen,
Kawangware.
Kawangware, Madare,
Yeah.
you can take your kid there and register him as long as he's under the age of 18 years old. And membership is only 1,000 shillings per year, and that kid can play in any course in the country.
1,000 per year.
Now, the 1,000 per year gives a kid an opportunity to play at Muthaiga for 116 shillings only. So if you have a child and you want to introduce him or her to golf, you register with Junior Golf Foundation, and the kid is given a junior card. That junior card, you can go with it anywhere. I remember the days I used to go to South Africa, I would just produce the card, and sometimes they even let you play for free.
Wow.
So that card is very important for any parent who would like to introduce their kids into golfing circles.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So if you know that your kid has a talent,
Yes.
and you know that they're sportish, you never know what they can become.
You never know.
Yeah, and it's 1,000 per year and only 116 per game. That
correct.
is so beautiful.
You can play even at Windsor.
At Windsor, they can play
Lepingo,
anywhere.
anywhere.
Oh my! And you
Yeah.
know what? You never know, because that's how you played and met the
Correct.
who is who.
Very true.
Who now God used
Yes.
to bring you to where you are today.
Correct.
So you never know who your child
There-
might
there-
just meet.
Yes. There are a
Don't
lot
take
of-
them there by force.
No.
First know that they have that talent,
So what I've come to realize in life, there are a lot of destiny helpers if you are well behaved and disciplined. Because in life, you just, from my personal experience, is you need discipline and hard work, and put God first, and everything else.
Wow.
Yeah,
Put God first, discipline, hard work. So
Yes.
your character must be good,
your character must be good.
so that people can even bank on you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the good thing about starting this game at a young age is that it molds you up nicely. So you'll never find yourself doing unnecessary things. If you're not in school, you're playing golf. So that by the time you are 18, you even forget you forget you are in adolescent stage, because
You're so busy.
You're so busy. You do not have time to start wasting with other kids doing all sorts of manners. So you focus, it's either school, golf, or at home, or traveling somewhere.
Amen.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that is very, very important, and
That's
I encourage a lot
beautiful.
of parents to
Yes.
promote their kids, give their kids an opportunity. You never know. There could be many other Kenyans who would go and meet with Tiger Woods and get inspired. Yes.
Amen. That's beautiful and amazing story. Mudanyi, that's so amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you
and
for
that
inviting me.
story, I know, will bless so many. I know you'll get so many young kids
Yes.
because of this story, just
Correct.
wanting to come and, you turn their lives around.
In fact,
The way yours was turned, because I know that you work a lot with kids.
correct.
You
I do
know.
a lot of kids programs.
Yeah.
In fact, right now we have about 207 kids registered at Muthaiga,
Wow.
and not even half of them are members' children.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a group of probably 2-3 parents from church
Yeah.
who bring their kids to my program.
To come and just
Yes.
learn.
And they really
Wow.
love it.
Wow.
Yes. So
That's
it's, it's an
awesome.
opportunity
Yeah.
for every parent out there to introduce their kids to golf,
Yeah.
and not think of that mental perception that golf is
It's
only
for the rich
elite.
and it's, yeah, right.
Yes, correct.
That's beautiful.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you
you
for
so much. May
inviting me,
the
ma'am.
good Lord bless you.
Thank you, Mommy. I
Yes,
appreciate it.
and our wife must come also.
Very soon.
Amen. In Jesus' name. Yeah.
Thank you, Mommy.
This is Woman Without Limits. I totally believe that you're blessed. Please sign up your kids, and I believe they will also rejoice. And you never know what will come out of that. May the good Lord bless you. Have yourself the most amazing week. Beautiful.